is on page 48 of this book, The Universal Prayers. If you don't have it, it's okay. If you have the book, you can refer to it. Universal Prayers, page 48. The English translation is on page 49. And this mantra is from the Vedas. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotram Atha Balam Indriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam Me Astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishatsu Dharmaste Mayi Santu Te Mayi Santu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May all parts of my personality, including the sense organs, speech, the prana shakti, the vital force, eye, ears, and all parts of my personality, including the mind, may all of them become strong and perfect and function in total harmony with each other. This whole universe, visible through the sense organs, is nothing other than Brahman, the ultimate reality, described in the Upanishads. May I always keep this truth in mind. May I not reject this as something remote. It is the ultimate reality, Brahman, that appears as the universe. And may I strive to the best of my ability in this life to realize that truth and experience my oneness with it. As I am engaged in that lofty effort, may all the virtues described in the Upanishads come to me and reside in me. All the virtues such as truthfulness, strength, purity, straightforwardness, may all those virtues come to me and reside in me. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts, Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, Adi Bhautika Shanti. And may there be peace everywhere in nature, Adi Daivika Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Very good. Let us now continue from where we left. Last time we were doing sloka number 15, 14 also we did. 15 also we did. 16 we have to start. 16th is the 5-star shloka. Very important. And I will explain that in very simple terms because that's all I know. If you want to know in great detail the meaning and all implications of shloka number 16, Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, he came here to our center about 2, maybe 3 years ago. One evening he gave a talk on just this shloka. He talked for an hour and a half explaining shloka number 16 in the 2nd chapter of the Gita. And I can find out it is recorded in our website. I will see if I can get the link and forward it to Kushaji or anybody else who is interested. It's a very detailed study of shloka number 16. But in very simple terms, you will understand. So, number 16 is chapter 2. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha, ubayorapi drishtontas dvanayos tattvadarshibhihi. Very nice shloka, very important shloka. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubayorapi drishtontastvanayo's tattvadarshibhihi. Sometimes Sri Krishna uses the double negatives. It may not be Sri Krishna's language, maybe Vyasa wrote Bhagavad Gita and Mahabharata, Vyasa's language, but we'll simplify that one. Here it says, I'll read the translation first. The unreal comes not into being. The real never lapses into non-being. The truth about both these has been perceived by the seers of reality. Second line is easy. Ubayorapi antaha drishtaha. Drishta means has been seen. Anta means the meaning, the import. Ubayoha means of the Sat and Asat. Two entities are being mentioned in this verse. Two entities, Sat and Asat. Sat means something that exists or always exists. Truth, real. Sat means real. Asat means the opposite, unreal. It exists sometimes, it may not be there all the time, or it may not be there at all. Sat, Asat, two entities are mentioned in the first line. Those people who know the truth, Tattva-darshin. Tattva-darshin means one who knows the truth, ultimate truth of ultimate reality, Brahman. Such people, by such people, Tattva-darshibihi, Ubayoho, of these two entities, Sat and Asat, Antaha Drishtaha. The end, Anta means the ultimate meaning, the import, real meaning of these two. What is Sat, what is Asat, has been understood by really great seers, Tattvadarshis. And you will try to understand in our own humble way. So now we go to the first line. Asataha bhavaha navidyate. First part of it. First part of first line. Asataha bhava navidyate. Bhava means existence. Of the asat. Asata means of the asat. Genitive singular. Of the asat, existence is not there. Na bhavaha. The asat does not exist. Asat means something that is not real. We'll understand what is not real and what is real. Second part of first line is Sataha abhavaha navedyate. Sata means of the Sat, of what is real. Abhava means absence, non-existence. There is no non-existence of the real. That means real always exists, unreal does not exist, in simple terms. Now, what is meant by real and unreal? Not the ordinary meaning which we ascribe to these words in our conversation, but in Vedanta they are special terms, technical terms. Sat, Asat. Sat means something that is always present. One. Something that is always present. One quality. Not intermittently present, not sporadically present, but all the time, in the past, in the recent past, in the remote past, and always in the past, should be present now, and should be present in the near future, far future, and always forever. Should be present forever. Permanent, eternal. Sat, one quality. Sat means real, means always present in all three times. Second quality of Sat is something that does not change at all in any way. All other Asat things change. We'll see how they change. Sat means something that does not change at all in any way. Always present, does not change. Two qualities. Third quality is it must be infinite. Should not be limited in any way. Finite means limited in some way. Sat has no limitation in any way, in any dimension, in any aspect. Sat has no limitation at all. Infinite. Anantam. And unchanging, eternal, always present, and infinite. Fourth quality of Sat is it must be consciousness, not inert. Asat is inert. Inert means insentient, not conscious. Sat is always conscious, super conscious, not consciousness related to some object. Our consciousness is related to objects, object related consciousness. I'm aware, I'm conscious of my being here in Maryland. I'm conscious of being a Swami. I'm conscious of reading from this book, Bhagavad Gita. I'm conscious of the environment, people whom I am seeing on the screen. I'm conscious of one person who is present as a live audience here. It gives me great encouragement. Dr. Pratibha Sharma is here. I'm conscious of all these things. I'm conscious of something. Our consciousness is ordinary conditioned consciousness. Oh, one more person is joining live audience, Dr. Sushil Sharma. Gives me greater encouragement. I'm strength. So our consciousness ordinarily is conditioned consciousness, object-related consciousness. But Sat is something that is super conscious, not related to any particular object, whether some object is there or not. Consciousness is always there, all pervasive, not limited to any one subject or object. Super consciousness, it is unlimited, infinite consciousness, pervading everything. That is consciousness. So we have seen four things. Sat means always present, unchanging, always present, eternal, unchanging, and infinite, and super conscious. There are more qualities. These four are important. This is all about description of Sat. Now we go to the Asat, second part of this first line. Asat, first part of the first line. Asat means it is opposite in all ways. Not always present. It is present sometimes, but not always. Not entirely absent either. It is present sometimes, but not always present. One. Second thing is, it is always changing. Sat is never changing. Asat is always changing. It's not constant at all. Some things are changing rapidly. We can see them change in front of our eyes. Some things change so slowly that we don't notice the change. We think they are not changing at all. Some things we think constant are like the Himalaya mountains, for example. We think it is not changing. Simply standing there, it's not changing. It's not true. It is changing. Its height increases and decreases with time. Same thing about the oceans. Everything is changing. Same thing about the earth. It is not. It is constantly moving. It's changing its position every moment, and changing in several ways, not only in one way. It's rotating on its own axis. The earth is changing its position. It's rotating around the sun in once in 365 days, and the whole solar system is also rotating in the Milky Way galaxy, of which it is a tiny part. And the whole galaxy Milky Way is also changing in relation to other galaxies. See how many types of movement are involved. So always changing, finite, always changing, not always present, and limited in every way. This is all qualities of Asat. Now, example of Asat. Asat is something familiar to us. We are all noticing various things in our lives. Everything we notice, including our bodies and minds, is all Asat. Vedanta says something which is sometimes startling to listen. That means I am not always present. No, we are not always present. We are present now as this body and mind. You are present. I am present now, but is always not present as this body and the mind. And I will not always be present as this body and the mind. Sorry, as it may appear, but this will end sometime. That's true for everyone. So everything that we can think of, if you can think of something that if you apply these four rules, 3 or 4 rules, is found to be Sat or Asat. What? If you apply these 4 rules, everything that we can think of is it Sat or Asat? Asat. Everything changes, everything comes and goes, everything is limited, everything is temporary. So then what is Sat? Asat, we know everything we can think of, including this planet, including all of us as human beings. We are not always present. We are asat, unreal. Vedanta says something which is startling. You think I'm not real? I'm speaking, I'm here, I'm eating and drinking, walking and sleeping. I'm not real. According to Vedanta, no, you are asat, you are unreal. We have to accept that one. It's a startling statement, but that is true. And then we come to the Sat a little bit later. Asat means something that is not always present. Everything that we can think of, you can think of anything without any exception. It is found to be Asat because it is not always there. It is always changing. It is finite and it is impermanent. Therefore, everything is Asat. The whole world is Asat. There is one statement, one short statement, which summarizes the whole of Vedanta philosophy in half a shloka. There's a shloka which I don't know from the origin, from where is often quoted in different places. There's one verse, 2 lines, which says just this. I'll chant the verse and I'll explain the meaning. The verse says, Shlokardhena pravakshami yaduktam grantha kotibhihi. Shlokardhena pravakshami. In half a shloka, I will tell you. Yaduktam grantha kotibhihi, which has been described in crores of scriptures. What is the half a shloka? Brahma satyam jagan mithya jivo brahmaiva na paraha. Brahma satyam. Brahman alone is real. Sat. Only Brahman is Sat. Jagan mithya. The whole universe is mithya, means unreal. We'll explain that, examine that in a little bit more detail. Brahma satyam jagan mithya. Then what about all of us individual jivas? I am a jiva, you are a jiva, all of you are jivas, individual being personalities. What about us? Jivo brahmaiva na paraha. We are nothing but Brahman. Positive news is we are as we are unreal. As bodies and minds, personalities, we are unreal. That is negative news. Makes us sad, oh, I am not real. But positive news, Vedanta says, you are that Brahman alone. Tattvamasi. Jivo Brahmaiva. Jiva is nothing other than Brahman. Napara, nothing else. Nothing other than Brahman. We are all but Brahman. So we should not feel sad because I am unreal as this body and the mind. But as the soul, as the Atman, I am same as Brahman. So is everybody else, including animals and plants, but they don't know. They don't have to bother about Brahman and Vedanta and Gita study, all those things. They live by their instinct, but human beings can realize their true nature. That is why it is said human birth is very precious. One of the most precious gifts that we can receive, which we already have received, is human birth, because it's only from the human platform that can realize our true nature as the divine itself, as Brahman itself. So Asat means everything that changes, that comes and goes, that has a form, that has a shape, it has a name, all Asat. I'll give you a simple example, which is given in the Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story of the great story of the boy Satyakama and his father, not Satyakama, Shvetaketu, and his father Uddalaka. Shvetaketu goes to the teacher's house and then stays there for 12 years for education and comes back home. His father, when the boy came back, his father noticed that this boy was arrogant and didn't have a complete understanding. So father asked him, did your teacher teach you that something about when which never changes and all those things? The boy said, no, he didn't teach me. Then the father starts to teach his son. In very brief terms, very briefly, the father teaches. If you examine various objects made of clay, a potter makes various things from clay. Potter makes various parts, different sizes and shapes to store different things. He makes toys, he makes clay elephants, he makes clay horses, and all those things he makes. All those objects are unreal. Only one thing real is clay. Clay always stays. The names and forms superimposed on clay, they are temporary. They change, they break, and then clay only remains. In the same way, superconsciousness is the only thing that always remains. That is Brahman, superconscious. Prajnanam Brahma. Prajnana means superconsciousness. Brahma, that's Mahavakya in the Aitariya Upanishad. That is always there. And all the bodies and minds, including human bodies, animal bodies, plant bodies, planet bodies, and star bodies, are all made up of superconsciousness, and they're all names and forms. The names and forms change, everything changes. Name changes, form changes. But the basic material ingredient, superconsciousness, always remain unchanged, and we are that. If I think I'm an elephant made of clay, then am I an elephant or am I clay? Right now I am an elephant and clay, both. But the elephant form changes, breaks down. What remains clay? Clay always remains. So when the body mind is made up of superconsciousness, sense organs are made of superconsciousness, but the sense organs, body mind, they are perishable, they go away. Then what remains? Superconscious. That I am always there. As superconsciousness, I am always present in the past, the recent past, remote past, in the present, in the near future, in the far future. Forever I am present as superconsciousness. As Brahman, I am always present. As Swami Brahmarupananda, I am only present for some time. Much of the time is gone, little bit is remaining. I won't always be there. Likewise, everybody else. So this is asat. Asat means something that need not necessarily be totally absent. It may be present, but it has all these limitations. It says in the sloka 16, it says, Nasato vidyate bhavaha. Bhava means existence. Permanent existence of the asat does not exist. It's present for some time. And during the time it is present, between the beginning and the end, it constantly changes. Some things changes rapidly, some things change slowly, but everything is changing all the time. Sun is also changing, moon is also changing. The sun was not there maybe 9, 10 billion, I don't know how many billion years ago it came into existence. And it won't always be there. Another 5, 6 billion years, it will become a red star and disintegrate. Long before that, Earth will have gone. All of us will have gone long before the Earth leaves. So it's all temporary. They remain for a long time, but they are not always present. They are all, in that respect, they are all asat. Whole universe that we see is asat. Jagan Mithya. That's what is meant by the phrase Jagan Mithya. Jagat means this whole universe. It's called Jagat because it is constantly moving and changing. It is called Prapancha because it is visible through the 5 sense organs, Pancha. It has different names, Jagat. It's always changing. It comes and goes. Even the one universe comes and goes. In the Puranas, they describe Mahapralaya. Mahapralaya means the great destruction. Everything becomes nothing. Everything is destroyed. And again, new creation will start. Creation, existence, and destruction, they are cyclic phenomena in Vedantic thinking. We'll see that cyclic nature of the creation in the next few verses. It will come maybe in today's portion. So that is the distinction between real and unreal. The people who know the truth about real and unreal, they are the ones who know the truth. So we have to, what is the implication? What we have to do now? We have to focus our attention on the real and not on the unreal. Put in other ways, we have to only strive to achieve what is real, our true nature, as Satchidananda, as Brahman, and not cling to our temporary nature, which is the body and the mind, because it will not be there forever. It's going to go away. And there is no need to cling to it needlessly. To the extent necessary, we will take care of the body and the mind. You know, it's our responsibility. It has been given to us. Precious gift has been given to us, body, mind, human birth. So we have to keep it in a good shape. Sushma ji has joined. Namaskar, Sushma ji. It's our responsibility to take care of the body and the mind because it serves a very good purpose. It's only through the body and the mind that we can realize the truth. Only through the human body and the mind we can realize the truth. A famously Kalidasa, a great poet, dramatist, Sanskrit dramatist, he said, Sariramadhyam kalu dharma sadhanam. Sariram is human body. Adhyam, the primeval, foremost, dharma sadhanam is the means to achieve dharma, to achieve realization. So we have a responsibility to take care of the body and the mind and the sense organs to lead our life properly. Simply because it is unreal, we should not neglect our bodies and minds. It serves a very important purpose, namely, it helps as a vehicle for us to realize our true nature. Then its work is done. Once we realize our true nature, then the body mind, it does not matter whether it is stays or not, in good condition, bad condition, is of no concern to us. That's why Tattvajna, Brahmajnana is Jivan Muktas and Sita Prajna, they don't worry about their body. Let it be here, let it be there, let it be in good condition, bad condition, it serves its purpose, serve its purpose. Just like crossing a river using a boat, and then when the river has been crossed, the boat we need not drag the boat wherever we go. We just leave the boat there, other people can use it. And it served its purpose and it's done. The body is like a boat. It helps us to cross over the ocean of ignorance. Ignorance is I am the body and the mind, that feeling. Once that has been done, then the body has served its purpose. Then whatever happens to it is of no concern to the jnani or to the bhakta also. Same. There is one verse in the Viveka Chodamani. Some I already quoted this verse once or twice, but I'm not tired of quoting it. It's sloka number 509 in the Viveka Chodamani. To a jnani who has realized that his true nature as Brahman, Atmajnani who has realized his nature as Atman, to such a person, the condition of the body is of no concern. It has served its purpose. The purpose of the body is to help us to realize our true nature. Once that has been achieved, then the body has served its purpose and then it can be kept aside. Whatever happens to it is of not much concern to us. So the sloka 509 in Viveka Chodamani says, the Shankaracharya says, Jale vapi sthale vapi luthatu esha jadatmakaha naham vilipye tad dharmai ghata dharmair nabho yatha. Very nice verse. 509 in Viveka Chodamani. He says, there Shankara says, esha jadatmakaha. This body is an inner thing. Actually, now also, even though I'm speaking and talking and active, they were saying me active, still it is the inner thing. What makes it look alive, gives it a sense of autonomy, is the presence of divine consciousness within. As long as consciousness is there within me, the body also acquires the quality of the consciousness, appears conscious. But bereft of the consciousness, the body is inert matter. It has no independent existence on its own. So, Esha Jadatmakaha, Jnani knows that one. It does not pamper the body needlessly. It takes care of it. It takes good care of it. Remains healthy because it has to serve the purpose of helping us to realize our true nature. Is important. Should not be neglected. We have responsibility to take care of our bodies nicely. Once the purpose has been reached of realizing your true nature, then its work has been done. The purpose for which what was given to us has been achieved, and you just give minimum maintenance. That is all. Yesha Jadatmakaha, this inner body, Jalevapi Luthatu, may it fall in water. Stalevapi Luthatu, may it fall on ground. It is of no concern to me. That is the attitude of the Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated while still living. Tad dharmaihi, by its condition, dharma means condition or status. By the condition or status of the body, aham na vilipye, I am not going to be perturbed. The condition of the body, whether it is sick or well, comfortable or uncomfortable, well-fed or ill-fed, it does not matter to me. It has served its purpose. I am unconcerned about the condition of the body. Tadharmaihi aham navilipye. He gives an example. Ghata dharmair nabho yatha navilipyate. Ghata means a part. But dharma means condition of a part, status of a part. It's a earthen part. Ghata dharmaihi, nabha means space or sky. There's some space in the empty pot. That space remains unaffected no matter what happens to the pot. If the pot is painted green, the space does not become green. If the pot is broken into two parts, space is not broken into two parts. It can never be divided into parts. It's infinite, always present, everywhere present. In the same way, just as the space in the pot remains unaffected by the condition of the pot, in the same way, I remain unaffected by the condition of the body. That one put garlands on, another kick this way. Somebody praises me, somebody blames me. Today I'm sick, tomorrow I'm well. It doesn't matter to me. See, there is one stanza which I have quoted before from the Song of Sannyasin. This is something that I recommend strongly to you. Swami Vivekananda wrote the Song of Sannyasin, a poem containing 13 verses when he was in Thousand Island Park in the summer of 1895. In July, August 1895, Swamiji went to Thousand Island Park and an American devotee gave a cottage for him to stay, and a few people, small number of people stayed there in Thousand Island Park. And there he used to give classes morning and evening. And one lady devotee took the notes of his classes and published it. These notes are published as Inspired Talks. Inspired Talks is in class notes of Swamiji's class lectures he gave when he was in Thousand Island Park in 1895, July, August. And then that complete works of Swamiji has these Inspired Talks also included in it. There he was in a state of samadhi there when he was in Thousand Island Park. He sat down under a tree, and in an inspired state, he composed this English song. He composed it in English. Then in one of the stanzas, he says, "Heed then no more how body lives or goes. Its task is done. Let karma float it down. Let one put garlands on, another kick this frame. Say not, no praise or blame can be, where praise or praised and blame or blamed are one. Thus be thou calm, Sannyasin bold, say, Om Tat Sat Om." Beautiful verse. Let the body go. Somebody praises you no matter what you do. Some people blame you no matter what you do. Sometimes it is sick, sometimes it is well. It doesn't matter to the Jnani. Once it has served its purpose, namely to help us to realize our true nature, then the condition of the body is of no concern to the Jnani or even to the Bhakta, to the Sthita Prajna, to the Jivan Mukta. So that is a very important part of our existence, body, mind. But still, it is Sat or Asat? Asat. Body is Asat. Asat because it is not in the past always. It won't be present in the future always. And when it is present, it is constantly changing, it is limited, it is finite, and there's a lot of problems. It also gives pleasure sometimes. So it is Asat. So the distinction between Sat and Asat, we have to understand, including our body, this earth, this planetary, this solar system, and everything on the earth, trees, plants, animals, people, big and small, oceans, river, mountain, everything is constantly changing, was not there always in the past, will not be there always in the future, and it is there now, and it is limited and finite. Therefore, all these things, according to Vedanta, are Asat. Of the Asat, there is no permanent existence. So this sloka number 16 describes, it does not explain in great detail, but it simply mentions in the various minimum terms, the difference between Sat and Asat. Asat does not mean it is absent, it's present. Very much we are present as bodies right now, but not always present, not always in the same condition, coming and going. So it has a purpose. Asat has a purpose to serve. Our bodies and minds have a purpose. That's why we are born. We are born to achieve a purpose. Human life should not be wasted. It has to be used in every possible way to reach the goal for which it was granted to us by the Lord. God gave us human birth so that we can realize our true nature, because only as human beings that we can realize our true nature as Brahman. So the body should not be put down as something impermanent. Why should I take care of the body? It's always going to give trouble. No, it has to be kept in good condition because it has a purpose to serve. It is given for a definite purpose to us, namely to realize our true nature. Until then, we have to take good care of the body. After that, we did not worry too much about it. Okay, difference between Sat and Asat. If you have questions about this, the difference between the Sat and Asat, you can ask me now, or you can send me email before we go to the next sloka. In the next few slokas, if your question occurs to you later, let me ask. Please, don't hesitate. You may not think about the question right now, but after some time it may come to you. Then please don't hesitate to ask. Now we go to sloka number 17. From 17 onwards until about 10, 12 slokas, until about 28, 27, 28. So all description of the real and some difference between real and the unreal. Very important part of sloka. Jnana, you can call it Jnana Yoga in a way. This part of second chapter describes the path of knowledge. Knowledge of the truth. Jnana means knowledge of what? Knowledge of the self. Atma Jnana. Atma Jnana I have, staying right in the ashram where I am staying. Atma Jnananji Maharaj. Self-knowledge. I am right now in human form, self-knowledge. So this part of the Gita is, you can say Jnana Yoga. It comes later also in other chapters, but this comes here. So we go to sloka number 17. Avinashitu tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasamavyayasya nakaschit kartumarhati. Sloka number 17. Avinashitu tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam vinasamavyayasya nakaschit kartumarhati. Translation: on the contrary, to means, however, on the contrary, know that to be imperishable, by which all this is pervaded. None can destroy that which is immutable. Know that to be imperishable, by which all this is pervaded. Pervaded means, this means always in Vedanta, idam, you see the word idam, sarvam idam tatam, idam means this, it's a pronoun, this. That means that, another pronoun. But conventionally, in Vedantic convention, idam means this universe. Why we call it idam, this? Because this seems to be close to us. We are familiar with this world. That means that, far away object, Brahman, that means Brahman. Actually, it is the reverse in truth. Brahman is closer to us than anyone because we are that. The world is something remote. But it appears the world is very close to us and Brahman is far away. God is far away, world is close. So in Vedantic terminology convention, we use idam, this, to indicate this world. That we use to indicate Brahman or Atma. Idam sarvam tatam. Tatam means pervaded. This whole universe is pervaded by whom? By superconsciousness, by Brahman. Brahman pervades the whole universe as superconsciousness. Just as, how does it pervade means what? I give an example, how one thing pervades the other. Supposing you take a gold ring, engagement ring or something. It's made of gold. And we say the ring is made of gold. That means gold pervades the entire ring. Wherever ring is there, gold is there. Gold is permanent. Ring is temporary. Ring can be changed into, if there are 2-3 rings which you don't want to use, the goldsmith will melt all of them and make it into a necklace or a pair of bracelets. So the enamel form are changeable. Gold is always gold. In the same way, what pervades the whole universe is pure consciousness. That is the substance of which we are all made. Just like all the ornaments. Somebody has a pair of earrings, somebody has a necklace, somebody has a bracelet, somebody has an anklet. and somebody has a ring, somebody has gold in their tooth filling, they're all gold, right? But the names and forms are temporary. What is one object today can be bent to another object tomorrow. But gold remains gold always, no matter what is the form superimposed on it. In the same way, all of us, all the beings, human beings, animals and plants and things are all different only name and form. In substance, we are all one. We are all Brahman. Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma. Upanishad. This whole universe. Idam means this whole universe. Chandogya Upanishad says, Idam Sarvam Sarvamidam Kalu Brahma. Brahman alone is all this. But we don't see Brahman. We don't see gold. We see only the ring or the bracelet or the anklet. But where is gold? Gold is pervading everything, all throughout the expanse of the ornament. So that by which this whole universe is pervaded, Yena Suramidam Tata, that phrase comes in several places in the Gita. By whom this whole universe is pervaded. Avinashi, it is imperishable. Names and forms are perishable. What is one form today can be made into another form tomorrow? Gold or clay. Today, something is made of clay, and after some time, an elephant, toy elephant is made of clay, and it breaks and goes back into clay form, and then from the same clay, after some time, you can make a horse or a pot. Names and forms are temporary. They are something superimposed on the clay. Clay is always there. In the same way, super consciousness is always there. Brahman is always there. Names and forms. Today I am a human being. Tomorrow, in previous birth, I may not have been a human being. I may have been somebody else, something else. Next birth, I don't know what I will be, who I will be, where I will be. So names and forms are temporary. They are something superimposed on the basic material, which is super consciousness, pure consciousness. They call pure consciousness. Chidghana in the Vedantic terminology. So know that. Vidhi means know. Vidhi means samajo in Hindi. Understand, Sri Krishna is saying to Arjuna, understand that which pervades this whole universe, idam sarvam tatam yena, by whom avinashi iti vidhi, know that to be imperishable. Names and forms are perishable, substance is imperishable. Atman is, Brahman is imperishable. Brahman is super conscious. Prajnanam Brahma is a Mahavakya in the Aitaraya Upanishad. Asya, second line, Vinasham Vyasasya na kasit karmarhati. Asya Vinasham kasit na kartum arhati. Nobody can bring about the destruction of this. Avinashi. Avinashi means imperishable, indestructible. Names and forms can be destroyed, but the basic substance cannot be destroyed, of which everything is made. Vinasham Asya, of this Avinashi, of this imperishable Brahman, Vinasham Kaschit na kartum arhati. Nobody can destroy that basic material. You can destroy a ring, but you can destroy gold. Gold remains when you could change the shape and form of the ring. In the same way, we as Brahman, as Atman are immortal. Amrita. Amritattva means immortality. We are immortal, not as bodies and minds. Bodies are mortal, very much mortal. They are not there always there. They change and they go away. But as Brahman, as Atman, we are immortal. Avinashi. Avinashi tad vidhi yena sarvamidam tatam. That means Brahman, which is Avinashi, imperishable, by whom this whole universe is pervaded. Yena, by whom? Idam sarvam tatam. Idam means idam jagat, sarvam tatam, pervaded. Asya, of this Brahman, of this imperishable entity, Vinasham kaschit nakartam arhati. Nobody can destroy that one. Imperishable, indestructible Brahman. Names and forms can be destroyed. So this is indirect way of telling Arjuna, this is the ultimate truth. But there is also an immediate purpose of why Sri Krishna is saying this to Arjuna at this point, because Arjuna was hesitant to fight. So Sri Krishna is telling him indirectly these names and forms. What is Duryodhana today, Dushasana today, Karna today, Bhishma today? They are not permanent as bodies and minds. They are all permanent as only Brahman. At best, you are only destroying their bodies and minds, which are anyway destined to go. So don't worry about that. You cannot destroy the Atman. They are as Atman, they are always present. You can't do anything to Atman. So that way it seems to like that. It's an aside. Now we go to sloka number 18. Distinction between Sat and Asat, they continue. Sat is something always present, indestructible. Asat is something which is not always present, destructible very much. Now same thing is continued in sloka number 18. Antavanta ime deha nityasyoktā sharirinaha anāshano prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Sri Krishna is giving all these instruction just to persuade Arjuna to clear up his understanding. He's not going to kill anybody. It's always been done, already been done. Just be the instrument in my hand. Later on, he's going to say, 11th chapter to Arjuna, Sri Krishna is going to say, Arjuna was asking, how can I kill all these people? They are my cousins, my brothers, my cousin brothers and my relatives and teacher, Drona. No. Do you think you are going to kill? Do you think you are the doer? Forget about it. You are not the doer. We all think we are the doers. No, we are not the doers at all. It's ignorance to say I'm the doer. In the third chapter, we only go to third chapter, sloka number 27. Krishna is going to use very strong words to anybody who thinks I'm the doer. Here he says, Ahankara vimūಢātma karta aham iti manyate. Fairly strong words Sri Krishna uses. Anybody who thinks I'm the doer, oh, I'm teaching people, I know more, I have more money, I'm the doer, I'm building this empire. Such a person does not know what he's talking about. He's utter foolishness he's talking about. Sri Krishna says that in those very terms. Then who is the doer? Sri Ramakrishna gives the answer. Divine Mother is the doer, people think we are the doer. That Sri Krishna says same thing in the Gita, what that Bengali song Sakalita Maricha says in Bengali. There Sri Krishna says in the verse number 33 in chapter 11, Mayayvete nihata purvameva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Savyasachin means Arjuna had many qualities. Of those many qualities, the ability to discharge arrows with both hands with equal agility, equal efficiency, that is called savyasachin, ambidextrous. We are generally only one-handed. I'm either right-handed or some people are left-handed. We can do more things with the left hand if I'm right-handed. But Arjuna had the special ability. With either hand, he could release the arrow with infallible accuracy. It has to go and reach the object. So savyasachin means that one, ambidextrous. Nimitta matra bhava, just be the instrument in my hands. I've already taken care of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Karna, Bhishma, everybody else, Duryodhana, everybody else. Just go through the motions and be instrument in my hand. So like this, Sri Krishna gives many arguments to persuade Arjuna to do his duty on the battlefield. So this one is another such indirect argument. Sloka number 18. Antavanta ime deha nityasyokta sharirinaha anashano prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Ime deha nityasya deha antavanta uktaha sharirinaha. Sharirin means the spirit dwelling in the body. Sharira means the body. Sharirin means the indwelling spirit. Nakshatragya. The indwelling spirit, the jiva. Of this jiva, of the indwelling spirit, ime deha antavanta. These bodies are perishable. Anta means end. They are going to end at some point. If not in the war, or due to old age, they will die. They will all die. Even if they are not killed in the war, when old age becomes, they will die. Same thing will happen to all of us. The bodies are not permanent. Ime deha antavanta. We have to remember that one. This body is not going to last forever. It is going to go away. We may say, when we hear such statements, people think this Vedanta philosophy is always very negative philosophy, always harping about death and destruction. No, it is a most positive philosophy because it says bodies are impermanent, they are going to die, but you are permanent, you are Atman, you are Brahman, you are infinite, you are eternal. That's the most positive message of Vedanta. You should look at that positive message. What about the body? Oh, it is going to go away. Don't worry about it too much. It is there today. It was not there yesterday. Tomorrow it won't be there. It's a temporary thing. Take care of it. Do serve its purpose and it will be done with it. very realistic instruction. You are as Atman permanent, eternal. That thou art, Aham Brahmasmi. What more can be positive than that message that Vedanta gives? Not a negative message. Ime deha, these bodies, nityas of the eternal, these bodies are eternal, are not eternal, they belong to eternal. Nityasya uktaha, they are said to be antavanta, said to be impermanent. They are said to be impermanent. Anta means ending. They always end. Everything ends at some point. Anashinaha prameyasya, the bodies belong to the shariri, the consciousness wearing the body. That is anashi. Anashina means it is imperishable. Aprameya means it is inscrutable. You cannot measure or figure out what this Atman is, because it is infinite. If something that is infinite, you cannot figure out. You cannot put a boundary on that one. It's infinite. Atman is infinite. Ananta. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. The very famous statement in the Taittiriya Upanishad. The statement is very significant. Not only because of its profound meaning, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, but there's something else that makes to me very special, the statement. You know, Swami Turiyanandaji Maharaj, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, he was a great tapasvi, great yogi, great jnani, great bhakta, all combined in one. He was a jnani, bhakta, yogi, tapasvi, ascetic. Nobody could do asceticism, meditation like Swami Turiyananda could do. When on the last day of, he had suffered from severe diabetes those days. In the early 1900s, there was no insulin. Insulin was discovered in 1902, but it was not available to everybody, to all the patients with diabetes, and some native medicine, homeopathy, something, that's all that was available. He was suffering from severe carbuncles, very severe, serious surgeries had to be done, and he chose to do it without anesthesia. Such a great yogi. At the last moment of his life, this is what he said before giving his body, consciously, in full consciousness. He said, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Swami Akhandananda was visiting him in his last days, Guruyananda Swami. Both of them repeated this line 3 times, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, and then he closed his eyes. So this Brahman is Satyam. Satyam means always present in all the 3 times, real. Jnanam, pure consciousness. Anantam, infinite, not limited in any way. Anashana premeyasya tasmajidhyasya bharata. The bodies are impermanent. Antavanta ime deha. The bodies are impermanent. If you don't kill them today, they will die anyhow. Somebody else will kill them, or they will die because of old age. Don't worry about the bodies. Ime deha yudhyasva. Do your duty, which happens to be fighting on the battlefield and fight with the Kauravas. All other means had been exhausted, nothing worked, so the last resort left to them was to fight, and that's what Arjuna had to do at that time. Practical instruction combined with Vedanta, highest Vedanta. Both are given in this part. Now we go to shloka number 19. Yaenam veti hantaram Yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijani tau nayam hanti na hanyate. Shloka number 19. Jaenam veti hantaram Yaschainam manyate hatam ubau tau na vijani tau nayam hanti na hanyate. Translation is, both he who takes it for the slayer and he who takes it to be the slain know not the truth. It neither slays nor is slain. Slaying means killing or being killed. The bodies are going to be killed, either by somebody or it dies on its own. But Atman, it can neither be killed nor can it be slain by anybody. Nayam Hanti, neither does it slay anybody else, because there is nothing else beside Atman. It's infinite. Infinity means only one infinity can exist. If the second thing exists, then it cannot be, neither can be infinite. So this Atman is infinite. Anantam, Satyam Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. Ekameva Advitiyam, one alone and not a second. So what is their second entity to be killed? What is their second entity that can kill Atman? Neither is possible. Nayam hanti nahanyate. Neither Atman is killed, nor Atman can kill. But the shariris are, but the bodies are impermanent. They come, they go, they are killed, or they die by themselves. So don't worry too much about that. Now comes the very important verse. Sloka number 20 is a 5-star sloka. Sloka number 16 and 20, these two are very important. They contain the gist of Vedanta philosophy. Sloka number 20, they're very similar verse. It's only 2-3 words different in the Kathopanishad, similar to almost same as sloka number 20 in the Bhagavad Gita, also comes in the Kathopanishad. So let us do 20. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. Very important verse. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो Nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Here Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, the self is never born. It never dies either. Having been born, it never ceases to be again. Unborn, eternal and everlasting, this ancient one is not slain when the body is slain. The last line is very important. Sharire hanyamane Atmana hanyate. When the body dies, Sharira means the body. All bodies, human bodies, animal bodies, plant bodies, sun body, moon body, star body, everything. Galaxy body, galaxies also die. Galaxies also take birth. At any given moment in the universe right now, so many galaxies are in various stages of disintegration, and so many galaxies are in various stages of formation. It's constantly going on. Creation, destruction, maintenance, they are constantly going on. So body is, whether a small body like an animal body, a mouse or a cat, or a huge body like the sun, or a still bigger body like a galaxy, they're all impermanent. But Atman, no birth, no death, no change. Naja Atman is being described here in 20th verse. Najayate, it does not take birth. Bodies take birth. All bodies take birth. Sun also took birth because before the solar system, sun was not there. It is not going to be there. It also will die. Namriyate, but Atman does not die. Atman does not take birth, nor does it die. It's always present, past, present, future. Satyam means always present. Sat means always present. Nazayate, namriyate, kadachit, at any time. Ayam bhutva, na ayam bhutva abhavita vana bhuya. Again, double negatives. Having come into existence, it will never become absent and never be absent in the future also. It is always present, always present. Ajaha, it is birthless. The word Aja has two meanings. Aja means a goat, Aja means without birth. Here, the meaning is birthless. Ajaha, the Atman is birthless. There's no one particular time when it came into existence. Sometimes people ask, when was the birthday of God? When was God born? God was always there. He was never born. And he will always be there. Ajaha, birthless. Nityaha. Nitya means eternal. Shashwata means permanent. Ayam Puranaha. This Atman is ancient. Always, it has been there always. Sharire hanyamane. Atmana hanyate. When the body dies, Atman does not die. It continue to exist. As Atman, you are immortal. Infinite, eternal. We don't die. As bodies, they are very much mortal. Someday the body is going to go. Some people live longer, some people go early. But bodies are not permanent. Atman is permanent. As Atman, we are immortal. Immortality means, as we realize our Atman nature, then we are immortal. If we think we are the bodies, we are mortal. So this is very important word. Describes the Atman. immortal, imperishable nature of Atman is described in this verse. Ajayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva avavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Now we can do the next verse. It's already 3 o'clock. If you have some questions, next time we'll go a little bit faster. These next few verses are fairly same topic, easy to understand. Shaji, any